president or speak at a rally, have you noticed he tends to go off script and ramble? And generally, for the life of him, cannot finish a thought. And he has called it the weave. But I think we here will call it nonsense.
Georgia is one of 17 states where voters are already casting their ballots in person, with more than 1.3 million people already voting there, and new friction and pushback from Georgia election officials over new voting rules in that state.
We saw the shenanigans of the Georgia State Board of Elections for what they are. This effort to literally change the rules while people are voting. And the courts rightly pushed back on that.
We now have photo ID for all forms of voting. People were concerned about signature match. We'd actually been sued by the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, questioning, the validity of signature match. So we added that, layered that on top. All early votes and all early accepted ballots, they all will have to have their results reported by 8 p.m. That's 70, maybe even 75% of all the vote totals will be reported no later than 8 p.m. on election night.
Duly noted there. Donald Trump, meanwhile, is out on the trail in battleground Pennsylvania. VP Harris will also be there later today. Senator J.D. Vance is in Wisconsin. Governor Tim Walz is in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Michigan. Second gentleman Doug Emhoff also in Michigan. And Trump is attending the Steelers-Jets game later on. Yesterday in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, he went on a bizarre rant, appearing to discuss the anatomy of the late golfer Arnold Palmer and then lobbing profanity-laced attacks on VP Harris. But a few moments ago, he sought to shift the focus, seeking to discredit the vice president by visiting a McDonald's.
Look, here's the story. Ready? I'm going for a job right now at McDonald's. I really wanted to do this all my life, and now I'm going to do it because she didn't do it. Thank you very much. I'll see you at McDonald's.
Okay. We have several reporters and analysts in place covering all of these new developments. We're going to go first to Georgia, where Kamala Harris is campaigning on this, her 60th birthday. NBC's Ali Rafa is joining me once again from Atlanta. So what is the vice president doing, Ali, to win over more support from men, particularly black men?
Yeah, Alex, this is a group of voters that the Harris campaign is making an enormous investment in courting as we see the vice president try to erode some of the gains that we have seen former President Trump make with men, but specifically black men. Now, we saw Vice President Harris, as you mentioned, at those church services earlier today. At one of them, we saw Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, and he did not mince words about this specific issue. He told the congregation at one of these churches, quote, "This talk about black men voting for the other, I don't believe it." He said the real threat is not Trump, but not showing up. And then he had the men in this congregation stand up and chant, "Real men vote." And we're also seeing the Harris campaign lean onto former President Barack Obama to help with this specific effort. But I can tell you, Alex, I've been here in Atlanta speaking with specifically black men. I spoke with some of them yesterday, and their reaction to whether they would support Harris really is mixed. I spoke with some of them, some Democratic voters who said that they would support Harris, and they cited misinformation as well as COVID stimulus checks for why they say black men are supporting or are more open to voting for former President Trump. But I also spoke with one Republican who voted Democratic in all past elections. His name is Eric Johnson. He's a barber here in Atlanta, and he said that nothing Harris can do between now and the election could sway his vote. Listen to his comments here. In past elections, have you voted Democratic? Or?
Yeah, every time. All the way down every bar, it's always been Democratic. But now, it's, I'd rather vote for the one that dodges bullets, not dodges questions. You know what I'm saying?
What would it take for the vice president to earn back your vote? We're seeing her make enormous investments trying to court specifically black men.
It's nothing they can do. Like it's past, the ship has sailed. It's past that point now.
And you think that there are many more black men that feel the way you do?
Oh, I know it is. They just, they can't speak to their wife about it. Their wife got, their opinion, so it's kind of like, just keep the peace.
Johnson telling me that he believes there are many more black men supporting Trump than even what we see in the polls. So definitely an interesting angle of this that we're going to be watching up to and on Election Day, Alex.
Yeah, it's an important one. All right, thank you, Ali, for that. Let's head from there to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That's where NBC embed Jillian Frankel is joining us ahead of a Trump town hall there later today. So, Jillian, welcome again. What's the Trump campaign focus with now 16 days left?
Alex, a major goal for the Trump campaign in this final stretch is really juicing his base, getting Republicans to turn out and vote for Trump on Election Day, especially Republicans from battleground states like here in Pennsylvania, where he's been all weekend. We saw him moments ago at a McDonald's. This is something he's been talking about on the trail now for weeks, saying that he's going to visit one and accusing Vice President Kamala Harris of never actually having worked at one. Now, another big strategy to juice that base, he's been pushing, as he calls it, an America First agenda, touting this higher tariffs policy and saying that that is going to increase domestic production. We do know, of course, that that does bring a risk of counter tariffs, but I want you to hear how he talked about that policy proposal and how he's emphasizing it on the trail lately. Take a listen.
The word tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary. More beautiful than love, more beautiful than respect. No, less beautiful than religion, though, right? I don't want to get into that argument.
Now up ahead for the former president, he'll be right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You can see behind me the crowd is already lined up for this town hall event. After that, he's headed to the Steelers versus Jets game. And tomorrow he'll be in another battleground state, North Carolina, as he continues to court those critical swing state voters.
Okay,
Alex?
Thank you for the wrap on all that, Jillian. Let's bring in right now Shaniqua McClendon, Vice President of Political Strategy at Crooked Media, and political commentator Ashley Pratt Oates. Welcome, ladies. Good to see you back here on this Sunday. So, Shaniqua, I want to talk about the surge of early voting that we've been seeing. In 2020, the early vote was heavily Democratic. Is the fact that some of these states are breaking records, is it good news for Harris, or do you expect a less dramatic split now that Republicans are encouraging early voting?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely it will be not as bad for Republicans as it has been in the past. But generally, I think that we don't know how people are going to split their tickets. I think there are a lot of Republicans who are over Donald Trump. And so just attributing kind of party registration to make assumptions about what these votes are, I don't think is a safe assumption to make. But I do think that what voters are hearing in kind of this final stretch from the candidates is driving a lot of this early voting. There's a small group of undecided voters who are still trying to figure out who they want to vote for. And if they are listening to the candidates right now, I think that decision is becoming a lot easier. Kamala Harris is out there talking about her plans, while, as you've covered in the past hour or so, Donald Trump is talking about other men's private parts.
Yeah. Ashley, Trump and the GOP, they were adamantly against both early and mail-in voting back in 2020. In fact, it became a partisan issue. At Elon Musk's rally for Trump this week, it was in Pennsylvania, he asked attendees to vote early, and a few people actually shouted back, why? Is the damage done? Will this hurt the GOP moving forward?
Yeah, so I think back in May, there were reports that the GOP was starting to try to get people excited about early mail-in voting, and largely because they realized they're at such a disadvantage when it comes out to their get-out-the-vote effort. And Republicans have always been notoriously pretty bad at get-out-the-vote efforts, and Democrats have been great at it, and especially when it comes to incorporating early mail-in voting. So the fact that, they still have a candidate who is at the top of their ticket talking about how he won the 2020 election, which clearly he did not, is a problem, because that really makes people continue to distrust the early voting process. So I think the damage has already been done among Republicans. So while there may be, a few million who will vote across the country, I think early in some of the Republican columns, I think largely that's going to benefit the Democrats. But we've always seen Republicans turn out on election days. So I really do think this is going to come down to just a few select swing states and a small percentage of voters who, as Shaniqua mentioned, are undecided. So that's who they really need to focus on in these final sprints.
Harris, Shaniqua, spoke about reproductive rights at her Atlanta rally last night and brought up Amber Thurman, of course, the Georgia woman who tragically died after being delayed care. Here's a bit more of what she had to say. Here it is.
So look, we all know this is a healthcare crisis. This is not something theoretical. This is not just about a political conversation. It's very real. And Donald Trump is the architect.
Give me a sense over these final 2 weeks, how much should the issue of abortion be forefront for Harris? Do you think it is the most winning issue for her?
Absolutely. Ashley said this last week that abortion will continue to be an issue that's going to really drive voters. And we can pay attention to it or we cannot, but people are going to show up for it. I think the continued attention to it, even from Donald Trump saying he's the father of IVF and just shining a light on the more steps that Republicans could take when it comes to reproductive health. The thought of having a national abortion ban is on a lot of voters' minds. And it is one of the driving factors that I think is going to make a lot of Republican women decide to vote for Kamala Harris. So I do think it's a winning message for her to keep driving on.
And Ashley, former President Obama rallied in Las Vegas for Harris last night, calling out Trump's border policies and taking on one of the former president's biggest attack lines. Here's that.
He's very quick to say to Kamala, well, you were vice president 4 years. Dude, you were president for 4 years.
How big of an impact can he make bringing back the coalition that he turned out in 08 and 12?
I think he can make a big impact, especially since she has brought in that coalition to now kind of make it a bigger tent as well, to really get some more enthusiasm under there that may have dwindled with Biden. So I think the more she continues to distance herself from Biden, really chart her own path, show that she is out there and really, really trying to get female voters, I think, very excited about this election and encouraged to go out there and vote for their freedoms. I really think it's a winning combination. If he can really rally those Black men that we were talking about in the last segment, I think something that's really important that was said by that voter who used to vote Democrat is that they don't want to talk to their wives about this. And she is talking to the wives. And I think that that's going to be a key driver on Election Day. So, again, the abortion issue is something that will drive females and I think males who support them to the polls. But that is something I did pick up on from that segment.
And speaking of wives, Shaniqua, Michelle Obama is set to hit the campaign trail this week, including her first rally with Harris. How critical is she? And did they intentionally wait until the final stretch, just showcase her and try to close the deal?
Yeah, I think the best time to bring someone like Michelle Obama out, who's really important, will bring people out. You know, if she's doing a rally, people are going to want to come see her, is after early voting has already started. And so that has happened. Democrats want people to vote as soon as possible so they can run those numbers up. In the past, that's been something that's worked really handedly for them. But Michelle Obama is, a star of the party. People have wanted her to run for president herself. And so it's going to be a really exciting time out on the campaign trail, and she's going to bring those excited voters out.
Here's something, Ashley. Harris has no plans to campaign with President Biden over the next 16 days. What do you make of that? And can she successfully step out from any administration's shadow?
Yeah, I think she's really going to have to toe the line here. She can be supportive of Biden and the administration that she's been a part of, but she really needs to distance herself in a way that shows that she is a candidate for change. Because I think what we've seen in new NBC polling as well is that Trump is polling a little bit ahead when it comes to being that candidate for change. And that's largely probably because the incumbent in office right now, obviously, is a Democrat. So I think at this point, the more she, again, showcases herself as the candidate for change, the more she has that hopeful rhetoric, and she's going against somebody who is just continuously spewing conspiracy theories on the campaign trail. We are now seeing that swing voters actually are less likely to support a candidate who supports the election denialism theories that we've been seeing Trump continue to double down on. So polls consistently change, but that has been really interesting because I think her pro-democracy message in the final stretch may actually resonate with undecided and swing voters.
And can I ask you to weigh in on this too, Shaniqua? And I want to go back to what we heard from Barack Obama when he said, he condemns Kamala Harris being vice president, but he says, dude, you were president for 4 years. So this whole concept of change, is Harris still commanding this idea?
Yeah, I think so. She started in her Fox interview. She had a lot clearer answer about how she would be different from Joe Biden. But I think that people just need to be reminded of who Donald Trump is. And he's been reminding people as he's been out on the campaign trail. At Vote Save America, we put a video out this week, and it was just a montage of all of the things that happened in the first 2 years of his presidency. And, he was in office for 4 years. I think about something like immigration. He always points to the vice president as have not have done anything while she's been in office, but he was actually president for 4 years. And so, the bill that has been put forth that he has told his Republican counterparts not to move forward on is something that he could have pushed for. So, he's just going to continue to do this. And then, it's just what he does.
Yeah, gotcha. Shaniqua and Ashley, a couple more weekends. We'll see you. Thank you. Next, the disinformation tool that is being sharpened this election cycle. Hear for yourself how hard it is to tell a deep fake from the real thing. We're back in 90 seconds.
I didn't have to spend my life trying to find my calling. Mine found me at an early age. It was just a matter of how good I could get and how far I would go.
At Ram, our calling is to build trucks. So when you find your calling, nothing can stop you from answering it.
Right now during Ram Power Days, get $4,000 cash allowance on the purchase of most 2025 Ram 1500 trucks. Don't miss Ram Power Days. Hurry in today.
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a flight nurse on a helicopter that specializes in trauma. I've been doing flight nursing for 24 years. I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to keep up. I wanted all the boost I could get. I heard about Prevagen from a friend. I read the clinical study on it, and it had good reviews. I've been taking Prevagen now for 5 years, and it's really helped me stay sharp and present. It's really worked for me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaids dual-active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaids spells relief.
They say, Lauren, what's the secret to a long, sustained relationship?
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew. Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew is an online subscription-based service that sends these affordable tablets directly to your home. No one even has to know.
Today, new concerns surrounding AI-generated deepfakes sparking worries about this election. The Washington Post recently explored how AI experts are preparing to counter fake audios of Vice President Harris and former President Trump. And here we've included a couple of their examples of AI-generated audio and some real audio. So you all take a listen.
I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I've been hearing reports that his team at least is saying he's suffering from exhaustion. And that's apparently the excuse for why he's not doing interviews. And of course, he's not doing the CNN town hall.
They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific.
I do believe. Look, this is really corrupt stuff. The other thing is, as you know, they really won in the Supreme Court, okay, the Fisher case and the various cases. Why are they still being held?
Joining us now to discuss the concerns with AI is Miles Taylor, former DHS Chief of Staff of the Trump administration and Chief Policy Officer at the Future U.S. and a good friend to us. Okay, Miles, to the untrained ear, these deepfakes can be pretty convincing. My producer told me which ones were real and which ones were fake. Can you tell?
Well, Alex, I'm going to take a guess. I think it was the first one in each of those cases. But here's the thing: is in some instances, I think the first one of each was fake. You tell me.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. But here's the thing, Alex, is you can make these absolutely indistinguishable from reality.
Oh, yeah.
And as you know, we've been running war games on this for the past year with election officials and federal officials to do exactly that, to show them what you just showed viewers, that it will be very difficult to distinguish not just between candidates' voices that are real and fake, but maybe even local election officials. In fact, Alex, this week, Adrian Fontes, who's the head election official, the Secretary of State in one of the main swing states, Arizona, said this is his #1 concern, is the possibility that there will be false information disseminated with deepfakes, and it will be really, really hard to debunk. So we're certainly worried about that in the run-up to Election Day.
So, look, we know creators with malicious intent, they likely target people who wouldn't be able to tell the difference, and it's hard to do. Is there any regulation the federal government should be pushing to combat this, or does it fall to just fact checkers and to experts like you to try to debunk them?
Well, unfortunately, Alex, there were efforts in Congress to try to get a bipartisan bill passed to make it a lot harder for people to use deep fakes in an election context. In fact, it had strange bedfellows. Democrat Amy Klobuchar in the Senate and Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican, had teamed up on a bill that looked like it was close to the finish line, and it would have made it illegal for actors to essentially mimic a candidate that's running in a federal election. But that didn't pass in time. And so, look, now what authorities have to do is balance, of course, between First Amendment protected speech and people who might be using deepfakes to break the law. So let me give you an example. You have a right, Alex, to create a deepfake of me if you want as a parody and put it on the internet. But what you don't have the right to do is create a deepfake of me saying that the election has been delayed in an effort to suppress the vote, because that would be illegal voter suppression. So that's what authorities are looking out for. They're looking out for usage of these deepfakes that's intentionally designed to deprive people of their democratic rights. But that's going to be hard to do. Why? Because there's tons of this stuff on the web.
And look, we saw criminal charges filed, Miles, when a deep-fake robocall of President Biden, you remember this, it went out before the New Hampshire primary earlier this year. Does the audio have to have some sort of call to action before officials can act on it? I mean, you're saying I could make a deep-fake of you. Does it have to have some malicious intent when it comes to elections?
Well, I mean, look, that's a great example, because in that instance, the individual who created that deepfake was not only posing as Joe Biden, but providing voters with false information about that election. But there's some nuance here. But there's another category, Alex, that authorities are going to be looking at, which is people trying to raise money off of this. So you see these scam PACs, these super PACs popping up to try to raise money for one candidate or the other that might be using deepfakes to further raising those funds. That would fall in the category of fraud, because they're not actually those individuals, and they are trying to create an effect by raising money. So there are hooks here for authorities to be able to knock back this behavior. But the concern that officials I speak to have is that they won't be able to keep up. And we've talked, Alex, about that October surprise, something happening before the election where voters are told maybe incorrect information about where and how to vote. But I'm also concerned about the November surprise, which is that after the election results are tallied, that people might disseminate deepfakes to try to claim the election was stolen. Fake images of people stuffing ballots, fake images of corruption at polling places. And that is going to be very, very hard to disprove in the immediate wake of what is very likely to be a contentious vote.
Pretty scary scenario you're painting there. Let me ask you one more question. This is a somewhat scary scenario as well, because I want to talk about this. It's been the focus of significant legal concern, the Doomsday Book. It's a set of legal documents kept in a SCIF in the White House detailing the secret and extraordinary powers that a president could use in a time of massive catastrophe. Did Donald Trump ever inquire about the Doomsday Book? I mean, why are you worried that it would be even more dangerous if he got his hands on it in a second term?
Well, Alex, there's only so much I can say on this front, because, of course, it's a closely guarded set of break glass in case of emergency procedures for a president. But DHS gave me clearance in my book I released last year to talk about concerns here. And the most immediate was we were within days at the end of the Trump administration of one of his MAGA allies being forced into the job on the National Security Council that would have overseen this book. Again, these extraordinary presidential powers that allegedly, according to open source reports, allow a president to do things like cut off internet access and shut down companies and do extraordinary things if the country is under threat. The worry of officials at the time at the National Security Council is that Trump would have used those powers in nefarious ways to prevent the transfer of power to Joe Biden. Here's the thing. He's now very much aware of what those powers were. And I think the fear is in a second term that someone who's willing to execute Donald Trump's political aims and misusing national security powers will obtain that book, will obtain those authorities, and propose to Donald Trump that they be used in ways to further his personal interests instead of the national interests. And there's now a number of people speaking out about that. People whose job it was to protect the Doomsday Book now are very concerned about a second term of Donald Trump.
I thank you for sharing that. Very sobering, but I appreciate you sharing what you could, my friend. Thank you, Miles Taylor. What is being done to help election workers count ballots and how it got so controversial?
They need their lawn back fast. And you need Scott's turf builder rapid grass. It grows grass 2 times faster than just seed the lawn. Giving you a stronger lawn. Smell that freedom, eh?
Download the My Lawn app today for lawn care tips and customized plans.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Clem's not a morning person or a people person, but he is an I can solve this in 4 different ways person. You need Clem. Clem needs benefits. Work with principals so we can help you with a plan that's right for Clem. Let our expertise round out yours.
Can you get this board to Tony Hawk?
FedEx presents Tall Tales of True Deliveries.
So I actually got it to Tony.
Whoa!
And he even sent one back. But in the future, I'm gonna need an address and a zip code.
We did this for a skateboard. See what we can do for your business. FedEx.
What a dinner. Great call making tacos on a Monday.
Thank you. Speaking of calls, I called today and got my new Medicare Advantage plan.
Is that different from a Medicare Part C plan?
Medicare Part C is also known as Medicare Advantage, and Part C plans can change every year. I found out I was eligible for a new plan with additional benefits and savings I didn't get last year. Have you called yet?
I haven't gotten around to it.
Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period, so now is the time to call and see if there are changes to your plan in the coming year, or if there is a 2025 Medicare Advantage plan with additional benefits available to you in our area, like I got.
Why am I not getting these benefits now?
You don't get a plan with additional benefits automatically, so you have to call to see what Medicare Part C plans are available to you in our zip code.
So I could be missing out on additional benefits?
Yes, exactly. And right now is the time to call and make changes to your Medicare plan coverage.
All right, I get it. I'll call now.
Call for your free 2025 Medicare coverage checkup. We can look up your plan and see if there's a Medicare Advantage plan available to you in your area with additional benefits and savings you may not be receiving now, or that may have previously not been available to you. You don't get a plan with additional benefits and savings automatically. Plans can change every year, and the annual enrollment period is your time to explore your options and change your plan. So call now, even if you called before. Different plans are offered in different zip codes. With just one call, you can get your questions answered and see what benefits and cost savings are available to you in your zip code. Call now before the Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Call now during the annual enrollment period for your free 2025 Medicare benefits checkup. The call and 2025 Medicare benefits checkup are free with no obligation. Call now.
800-364-1630. 800-364-1630.
Ooh, stuffed up again?
So congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Just Sinex? Breathe. What is... Wow. Sinex? Breathe.
With Chime, I can get paid when I want. I couldn't believe it. I can get up to $500 of my pay on my schedule. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. And that's why I Chime. Join me at Chime.com and get paid when you say.
Behind every Splenda product is a mission, helping millions of people reduce sugar from their diets. Now try a sweetener grown by U.S. farmers. Introducing zero-calorie Splenda Stevia. At Splenda Stevia Farms, our plants are sweetened by sunshine. Experience how great Splenda Stevia can be. Grown on our farm, enjoyed at your table.
The Daymaker pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the Daymakers, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris sits down for an exclusive interview with Reverend Al Sharpton in Atlanta. With early voting in Georgia underway, they'll discuss the importance of reaching black voters and what's at stake this election. Today at 5 on MSNBC.
The second apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump.
This morning, rescue efforts intensifying across the South.
In Atlanta.
In Israel. The DNC.
At the RNC. From MSNBC World Headquarters. A closer look at two critical battleground states that could decide who wins the White House in 16 days. Michigan and Wisconsin both counted 2020 ballots late into the next day, sparking protests in places like Detroit. This year, only one of them is making moves to count the vote faster. NBC's Shaquille Brewster reports from both states.
They're two battleground states, Michigan and Wisconsin, whose late into the night vote counts 4 years ago descended into chaos, but only one has made major changes to help avoid this.
What we see here is essentially an increasing mob-like scene.
Protesters harassing poll workers in Detroit, scrambling to count the surge of absentee ballots.
My life was threatened. My staff's life was threatened.
Now, a new law in Michigan gives clerks a head start, allowing them to process absentee ballots well before Election Day.
I think it would show voters that the process is clean, that the process is open.
The changes will likely limit a so-called red mirage on election night. That's what happened in 2020, when many cities reported in-person voting results first, which tended to favor Republicans. But absentee ballots, which were more Democratic-leaning, took longer to count.
100% reporting didn't take place until Wednesday morning.
Trump's lead in Michigan vanished later that morning when Detroit's Wayne County reported nearly 150,000 votes. Predictable changes that were used to fuel false claims of illegal ballot dumps.
And then, boom, all of a sudden, I go from winning by a lot to losing.
With this new law, when will Detroit have its results posted?
We'll have our results posted by 11 o'clock news. 90 to 95% of our results will be posted by then.
In the week before Election Day, you'll actually see these envelopes opened and the ballots put into vote tabulators here in Michigan. While here in Wisconsin, you may see results come in later. That's because absentee ballots stored here cannot even be opened until Election Day.
Regardless of the efficiencies we make, just the sheer number makes us be one of the last people, if not always the last jurisdiction to report results.
In 2020, Milwaukee finished counting at 3:42 a.m., pushing Biden ahead in Wisconsin. Do you have any projection for when Milwaukee will have its vote reported this year?
I don't. I think what we should expect, though, is not before midnight.
43 states allow clerks to process ballot envelopes before Election Day. But despite bipartisan efforts to change election laws, that doesn't include critical battlegrounds Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
If the American public wants to see our results sooner, there has to be legislative change.
A change to speed up the count in the most competitive states. Shaquille Brewster, NBC News, Detroit.
And breaking news on a new investigation into an apparent leak of top-secret U.S. documents next.
Consumer Cellular is lowering the price for those 50 and up. Get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage satisfaction. Visit consumercellular.com today.
Camila tried the new scent of Gain Relax Flings, and it changed everything. Hey, Dave, don't knock it till you smell it. New Gain Relax Flings.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And special financing and low monthly payment options are available. Call or go online now to request your free quote. Power your life with Generac.
After my hair started thinning, my dermatologist recommended Nutrafol. The formulas are clinically tested.
My hair is much stronger and longer.
I feel like I'm a completely different person.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com.
You're looking pretty good, Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
The front desk said you recently enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. Well, Medicare Parts A and B do not cover your routine dental coverage. Yes, you have a Medicare Part C plan, commonly called Medicare Advantage. Medicare Part C plans cover everything in Part A and Part B, plus benefits like dental, vision, or hearing.
Wow. That's great that my plan includes dental coverage that helps pay for these costs.
Yes, Mr. Johnson. A Medicare Part C plan could include dental coverage.
Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans available with additional benefits that are simply not covered under Medicare Parts A and B, like routine dental coverage. In fact, nearly half of Medicare beneficiaries do not have any dental coverage. Here's the good news. 2025 Medicare Advantage plans are now available. If you're on Medicare, you can call now during the annual enrollment period, even if you called last year, and talk to a licensed insurance agent to learn more about Medicare Advantage plans from Humana, United Healthcare, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna Healthcare, WellCare, or Kaiser Permanente. We will check to see if there's a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. Remember, you don't get a Medicare Part C plan with additional benefits automatically, so call now before the annual enrollment period ends for your free, no obligation 2025 Medicare Benefits Review. Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan,
just call 800-661-2714. 800-661-2714. 800-661-2714.
No more gross cough syrup.
I want you to feel better.
I want extra TV time or I'll walk.
How about this?
Introducing the Only Kids Soft Chew for medicated cough relief. New Mucinex Children's Mighty Chews are mighty clever.
With Chime, I get to decide when I get paid. My pay lets me get up to $500 of my pay when I need it. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. And that's why I Chime. Join me at Chime.com and get paid when you say.
We've got a juicer and a steam oven, but our favorite appliance is our Aquasana filter. It makes all the water that we drink and cook with cleaner and healthier.
Tastes better, too.
Now up to 50% off at aquasana.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my clients, selling their life insurance to Abacus was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
39 past with breaking news. U.S. intelligence is investigating the unauthorized leak of top-secret documents assessing Israel's plans to attack Iran. The documents, first posted on Telegram, have so far been labeled authentic by 4 U.S. officials. The Israeli Security Cabinet is scheduled to meet a bit later tonight. We're going to bring in right now NBC's Hala Garani from Tel Aviv. So, Hala, another welcome as we discuss this again. If proven authentic, how significant is this intelligence breach?
It's significant in that it confirms that Israel really is preparing and has prepared over the last few days with large deployment exercises for an attack against Iran, which is it has promised to carry out since Iran attacked Israel on October 1st following the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of its proxy in Lebanon. In two of these documents, which appeared on the Telegram messaging app, there were details that were divulged. These documents, by the way, were marked top secret, about deployment exercises, also about the use of spy drones in anticipation of an attack against Iran. And another interesting element in these documents is that there are indications that Israel is installing additional ballistic missiles to protect itself against an eventual retaliation by Iran. And this is all happening as Israel has announced today, just in the last hour, that it is preparing to attack targets in Lebanon. This would be a very widespread attack across the entire country, because it has said, this is a senior defense official that conducted a briefing just in the last few hours, that it will target Hezbollah's banking network. There is a banking outfit called Al-Qard al-Hassan, which has been sanctioned by the U.S. for the last 15 years or so. But they have physical branches across the country, including about 15 in Beirut itself. Now, the Israeli military is saying that it will warn the residents that live in and around these structures to evacuate, but one has to wonder just how these messages are going to make it to the people who need to hear them in order to protect themselves. This is a very openly telegraphed attack that we are all expecting here to happen in the overnight hours in the Middle East. And just one last thing, you'll remember, Alex, that the death of Yahya Sinwar, who is the head of, who was, I should say, the head of Hamas, was seen as some sort of opportunity for a ceasefire. It seems like the exact opposite is happening. And in fact, an Israeli military spokesperson had this to say about what to expect in the aftermath of Sinwar's killing.
There were no hostages with Sinwar when he was eliminated. Killing Sinwar is the result of a year of operational and intelligence efforts to bring him and other Hamas leaders to justice. Sinwar has been eliminated, but our mission is not over. We will not rest until we bring all our hostages home.
Well, as you see, Alex, strikes on Lebanon, expected strikes on Iran, strikes on Gaza. Peace seems very far away in this part of the world right now.
Indeed, it does. Okay, approaching 9:45 p.m. there in Tel Aviv. We will keep an eye out for that which you think is coming, and then these attacks on the financial targets there in Lebanon. Thank you, Hala, for all of that. What we know about a key voting bloc that is shifting away from the Democratic Party.
Your gut is like a garden, growing both good bacteria and bad. That balance is key to a healthy gut environment. Benefiber's plant-based prebiotic fiber gently nourishes the good bacteria, working with your body to help your gut and you flourish effortlessly every day. Grow what feels good with Benefiber.
We always had dogs. They're like my best buddies. Yep, had them my whole life. Mumbo! So we got him, and he has been an absolute joy. So.
Daddy's puppy.
Once we go on the farmer's dog, he just attacks it. It's incredible. They're so tuned into you, and they have such personality. Being without a dog, I don't know. Can't imagine.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
This is Michelin quality olive oil, starting at $16. Graza, single origin olive oil so you can sizzle like a chef and drizzle like a chef. Graza, for the chef in all of us.
Did you know how you feel can be affected by the bacteria in your gut?
Try new Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites. With a delicious apple and blueberry-flavored fruit center and yogurt coating, each bite is infused with added probiotics to help promote a healthy digestive system every day. Plus, they're packaged in individually wrapped pouches for daily digestive support on the go. Look for new Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites online and in the digestive care aisle of your local retailer. Brand Power, helping you buy better.
Sure, Vistaprint prints business cards, but we also print these and those. And engrave that. We print your brand on everything so customers can notice you, remember you, and fall in love with you. If you need it, we print it with 25% off for new customers at Vistaprint.com.
Imagine going from this to this in your kitchen, from this to this in your bathroom, or from this to this in your outdoor space. Now you can. This is the all-new horsepower scrubber. It's cordless, rechargeable, waterproof, and it cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning up to 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. And if you have glass, it removes salt scum just like that. After scrubbing this toilet by hand, we discovered a disgusting mess. Now watch the deep cleaning action of Horsepower. It does all the work for you. That's Horsepower Clean. It's 100% waterproof. If you're power scrubbing indoors around water, like tubs, the toilets, or go outside, the weather can absolutely punish all your stuff out here. Like this table, Horsepower to the rescue. All kinds of stains just disappear like that.
Get your Horsepower scrubber with bonus scouring sponge for just $39.99. It's even rechargeable. But wait, you'll also get this stainless steel brush to make range hoods look new again, free. And receive this cone brush that fits perfectly into hard-to-reach areas, yours free. We'll also include this microfiber cloth to polish surfaces sparkling clean. It's also free. When you order, find out how you can get the Easy Reach brush to clean bottles, tumblers, and more. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. There's a strict limit of 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-756-8903 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-756-8903 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. Order now.
Spam is not just spam. It's not just robots calling, texting, or emailing you. It's companies buying your contact details, browsing history, even social security number. Data brokers sell your personal info by the millions. So it's not just spam. It's your peace of mind. We know it sounds scary, but you can take back control of your privacy with Incogni. Remove your personal data from data brokers. Get the deal and go Incogni now.
We are just 16 days from the presidential election, and the Kamala Harris campaign is attempting to shore up support from a demographic that has drifted somewhat from the Democratic Party, black male voters. It's a problem the vice president has recently addressed, sitting down for interviews with several black-focused media outlets, including the program hosted by my next guest. Joining me now is the host and managing editor of the Roland Martin Unfiltered show on the Black Star Network, Roland Martin. It's good to see you, my friend. And look, let's get right to this sit-down that you had with her. The vice president zeroed in on some of the racially charged comments that Donald Trump has made about black Americans, and going back for decades, and called him dangerous for this country. Let's take a listen to this. Here it is.
Look at it in the context of how he actually thinks and talks about black folks in America. And you and I have talked about this before. He is not looking out for folks when he was a landlord and would not rent to black families, sued for it. The first black president of the United States, and he had birther lines. And now you look at black immigrants, legal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, and he gets on a debate stage and says they're eating their pets? Come on.
What was your overall takeaway from your interview with the vice president, Roland?
That she understands that you have to compete for votes. We talked about a variety of issues in those 30 minutes, and no vote can be taken for granted. And the reality is this here. Democrats have not been paying attention. There was a 9-point gap between black men and black women in 2012 between Obama and Romney. And I was one of the folks warning, saying, hey, you better understand what's going on. 5% of black men voted for Republicans in 2008. It went to 11 in 2012. It jumped in 2016. Everyone assumed it was misogyny and sexism. That was not the case. And so what you have is you have folks who are focused on, a lot of black men talk about economics. You also have the First Step Act that Trump took credit for, but it was Democrats in the House that actually got it passed. So what Democrats have failed to do is properly message. You have to be communicating with black folks differently. I'm here at Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas right now. This is going to be one of the early voting locations tomorrow here in Dallas County in Texas. It begins tomorrow. Democrats have not talked about what they've done. They've made assumptions. And no, you now have to compete and communicate and talk to and target and micro-target. And so she understands that much better than the last three Democratic presidential candidates.
So to that end, I mean, despite black voters, we should note, overwhelmingly supporting Harris, she is behind where President Biden's support was in 2020, behind by about 10 points or so. It reflects a longer, Roland, a longer trend of black voters steadily fleeing the Democratic Party. So let's listen to a clip of conversations that NBC News had with black voters. This is from Pennsylvania. Here it is.
I think both parties make the mistake of assuming that when you talk to black men about criminal justice reform, you've answered our questions. But we are entrepreneurs, and we are business persons, and we are homeowners, and we are people with student loans because we graduated from college, and we want some real discussions around economic matters in the community. And so a myopic and parochial view of black men makes some think that we have nothing to say. But that's just not the case.
So look, that man we just listened to, certainly reflecting what you just said, but I want to ask you if the panic around black male voters is exaggerated or is it warranted in this razor-thin race? And then big picture, Roland, how do you account for the gradual erosion of overall black support for Democrats?
Sure. Here's the first thing. There's not panic. I mean, I literally talked to the campaign, and I talked to folks high up in the campaign who don't have panic. You have to understand, the campaign was built for President Joe Biden. It wasn't built for Vice President Kamala Harris. It all changed in late July. And so you're not talking about a long period of time. And so you've seen some significant adjustments. I was at a dinner with her at the Vice President's residence along with other black men in November 2023. And so she's been talking about these issues. She went on an opportunity tour. I covered her in Detroit. I covered her in Atlanta. She was in Atlanta twice. She was in Charlotte. So she's been discussing these issues, but she's not, frankly, been the focus for a lot of national media because Biden was. That's now changed. The second piece is this here. And this is what Democratic, and I'm going to be very clear, Democratic white strategists have to understand. First, you got to listen to the black people in the campaign and in the Democratic Party. And so they're the ones who craft strategy. I'm 55 years old. I'm 56 in November. I am that first generation of black kids born after King's assassination. And so the reality is this here. When we go to college, we're actually making more than our parents. We're opening businesses, which means we're now focused on corporate tax rate. And so the thing is this here. The further you get away from the black civil rights movement, the less black people self-identify as Democrats. Now, they likely are going to vote Democrat. They don't self-identify, which means you have to now target the black voter in 2024 different than 1984. And so that's the key. And I can't be any more frank. The problem, Alex, is that these campaigns and the money and the PACs are largely run by white Democratic strategists who do not understand the old model of only coming to a black church or go and talk to NAACP, boom, there you go. No, that's gone. It's not just barbershops and beauty shops. You now actually have to micro-target African Americans in a much different way than they've ever done, and that has been their mistake. Harris gets it, but now you're trying to play catch-up because she came in so late in July. But that's really what's going on here, and it's been trending this way for the last 20 years. They simply weren't paying attention.
I'm glad you are, and I love talking with you. You are definitely unfiltered, Roland Martin, and I appreciate all your candor and expertise and insights. I'll see you again soon. Thank you, my friend. A new day and a new interview, what Kamala Harris just told Reverend Al Sharpton, in fact, minutes ago. We'll have that next.
didn't redo this last year.
Before you were preventing migraine with Qulipta? Remember the pain? Cancel plans, the worry?
That was then. And look at me now. You'll never truly forget migraine, but Qulipta reduces attacks, making 0 migraine days possible. It's the only pill of its
understanding the standard that we as a nation must set for the world. You know, we we, as representing the United States of America, walk into rooms around the world with the earned and self-appointed authority to talk about the importance of democracy, rule of law, and have been thought of as a role model, imperfect though we may be, but a role model of what it means to be committed to certain standards, including international rules and norms, but also standards of decorum. And what you see in my opponent, a former president of the United States, really is, it demeans the office. And I have said, and I'm very clear about this, Donald Trump should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. He has not earned the right. He's not earned the right. And that's why he's going to lose.